Hi everyone, welcome to Headphone.ph YouTube channel. Today we have an exciting high-end headphone up for review. This is the Focal Clear open back dynamic driver headphone from Focal. Is this the endgame headphone that you've been looking for? Let's find out. So the Focal Clear sits right in the middle of Focal's headphone offering, behind their flagship Focal Utopia and ahead of the entry-level audiophile headphone, the Lear. This headphone is a $1,500 headphone, around 72,000 pesos, and is available on a lot of sites on Amazon. I don't think it's available locally here in the Philippines, but you can easily just import it through a third-party forwarder like Shipping Card or Johnny Air Express. This headphone utilizes Focal's aluminum magnesium drivers that they're using in some of their full-range speakers. It's not quite the beryllium driver that the Utopia and the Stellia are using, but it's still a very rigid driver, which sort of accounts for its really controlled sound. The headphone is a big headphone, so it comes in this big box, black box that has a lot of accessories inside. Accessorization is a treat for this headphone. It comes in this nice hard-sided travel case. The headphone is not a portable headphone, but it's still handy to have a good case like this. And inside you'll find a headband cover, which is nice if you're planning to, if you don't want the headband to accumulate scuffs at some point in time. It also has the this cable included, a cloth covered cable with 3.5mm mono plugs. It has a screw-on adapter that you can remove so that you can use the headphone in your portable devices or laptop outputs. It also contains a book-like box that houses a couple of high-quality cables. So the first one is a single-ended 4-feet cable, if I'm not mistaken. It's a good cable to be used for amplification. It has a 1/4-inch plug. The other is a balanced cable. So this one has the same length as the single-ended one, and terminates in this Neutrik XLR plug. This is really handy accessories to have, because usually cables like this, it's an additional $50 if you're gonna get it from a third-party manufacturer. So it's nice for Focal to include this one. So all in all, it has a carry case, 3 cables, a 1/4-inch screw-on adapter, and a nice box. In terms of build quality, this headphone is fairly well built. Most of the materials here are made of metal. It has a good weight to it. There are some plastics, I think, that are cleverly placed in this headphone, but most of it are made of metal. The ear pads are perforated microfiber, covering the memory foam pads. It's a nice plush pads. It's not the super plush leather pads that are available in like headphones like Odyssey and some others, but it's a good quality pads. It has the same material here at the top part of the headband. This one is synthetic leather, and all in all, I tend to like black and muted colored headphones, but this one I find to be classy looking. So it's definitely a headphone that is very mature looking, and is quite done tastefully, in my opinion. The only thing I think that would be a problem is the ear pads are in this gray color, so I imagine this will get real gunky at some point in time, and replacement ear pads for the Clear is not cheap. The pad alone costs $200, so definitely take care of your pads, or you can also take a look at some of the aftermarket options that are not produced by Focal. Comfort for this headphone is fairly good. It is not a light headphone by any means. It weighs close to 500 grams, but the weight distribution of that this headphone has is real good. So it has a fairly decent clamp. The ear cups are spring loaded, so as you can see, like if you tilt it like this, it goes back, and what it does is it ensures that you have a proper and tight seal to your head, so you get the best possible sound. I would say the clamp is a little tight at the beginning. It's not a snug fit, like super snug fit like some of the other headphones, but it's I would say the overall caliper pressure is on the average or slightly above average, so that's something you may want to keep in mind if you're sensitive with that. Personally, I don't have any problems wearing this for an entire day. I find it fairly comfortable, as I said, and the pads are real soft. The padding here is ample, and really I find that the ability of, you know, the way it's constructed is it's able to balance the weight evenly across my my entire head. As an open headphone, you're not going to get any passive noise isolation, and it's going to be leaking whatever it is you're listening to. Now, moving on to the sound, the Focal Clear, to summarize, is a very punchy sounding headphone that is slightly warm, very detailed with no harshness, or, you know, it's not fatiguing at all, and a very good overall balance. So the frequency response of this one is very much conforms to the Harman target curve, and you know what that means is that the tonality is pretty much like what most people are, you know, perceive as correct tonality. So the bass of this one is very good. It's got a lot of bass, and it extends way past the sub bass area. It's very punchy, like most Focal headphones are. It's got that really nice slam and like tactile like feedback that you'll experience if you're, you know, the track that you're listening to has it. It's not flat bass. I find it slightly bleeds into the mid-range, but the bass to mid-range transition is perfect. The mid-range quality overall is quite transparent, and it sort of has an intimate vocals similar to HD600, HD650 from Sennheiser. Maybe not as intimate as them, but around that same same description. The upper mid-range and the presence region I find to be just perfect. Some people say it's slightly recessed. I don't find that to be the case. Subjectively, I think it's just perfect. It just has that enough level there that, you know, it's not shouty, but at the same time it's also not dull sounding. Like if you dip that area too much, then it becomes dull sounding. The treble is quite detailed in this headphone, and it's very smooth. It's got that enough like a nuance to it that really you're not gonna like if you're coming from a cheaper headphone or a sub $100 headphone, you'll never know the detail is there. So I think as a whole, like detail retrieval is something that this headphone is very good at. So like speaking from like the frequency response, and like as a whole, like you'll find that this headphone is able to like enunciate those details in, you know, the tracks that you're listening to without being without being rough sounding, like for example some of the lower end hi-fi man headphones. The frequency response in the treble indicates some unevenness, but for me, I think it's just I didn't hear anything unpleasant in the treble area. I feel like the balance between the fundamental and overtones are just, you know, pretty spot on. So, you know, definitely like the overall treble of this headphone is very good. Soundstage for an open headphone is, I would say, average. It definitely sounds like an open headphone, don't get me wrong on that, but it's not as spacious or as wide and deep as some of the better sounding open headphones like the Sennheiser HD800, some of the higher end hi-fi man. Even the cheaper DT880 and the HE400i that I own have larger soundstage than this one. So this one is slightly larger than the HD600. It's got that like intimate spaciousness as a whole. But imaging is very good with this headphone. You're able to clearly pinpoint the lines of the instruments within the actual presentation. So, the imaging is, I wonder if, this headphone has a bigger soundstage. I feel like imaging would benefit if this has a bigger soundstage. However, like, imaging as a whole is pretty spot on. Like, the transient response is very quick for this headphone. The drum hits are fast, and there's almost not any like delay or decay, delay and decay when in those specific areas. So I like listening to a lot of Dream Theater with this headphone. I feel like the busy passages of the tracks are conveyed just fine with the Focal Clear headphone. This is also a very efficient headphone, and when I say efficient, it's not just it's able to play plenty loud on portable devices. It also sounds good on portable devices. So a lot of high-end headphones back in the day, are not efficient and are hard to drive. So even if you can get them to play to a decent volume level, they don't sound nearly as good as when they are properly amplified. So that's not the case with the Focal Clear and probably some of the more recent high-end headphones. The Focal Clear still sounds good off a portable headphone or directly from your laptop. But obviously, a headphone as expensive as this, you have to put like amplification to it in order to really benefit from the drivers or the potential of the drivers of this headphone. I tested this with this Schiit Magni 3, which is an entry-level amplifier. I also plugged this through my Monoprice THX887, which is a $400 balanced amplifier, and they both improve the overall like sound and detail retrieval of this headphone. Yes, you can use it through your portable device, but I highly recommend that you invest in an amplifier in order for you to really get the most out of this headphone. So at $1,500, there isn't much to fault with this headphone except for its price. But high-end headphones in general present a really poor value proposition. So, if you've decided that you want to try out high-end headphones, then that's something like value is something you're throwing out of the window already. I feel like with this amount, the Focal Clear is really a good option. Some alternatives to this headphone include the HiFiMan Aria, which hopefully we'll be reviewing in this channel soon as well, and some of the like mid-tier Odyssey headphones, namely the Odyssey LCD2 and the Odyssey LCD3. But the Focal Clear is a good option. I think it's a very good sounding headphone for the price. Now, if you're coming from an entry level or a mid, fi option, if you're probably going to be asking, am I gonna see a significant upgrade in sound quality when I get this headphone? The answer is yes. Personally, I've tried a lot of high-end headphones, but most of the headphones I've owned fall under the mid-fi category. So I've owned some of the Sennheiser HD600 headphones. I've owned the DT880, the HE400i at different points in time. And the first time I heard this headphone, I immediately can tell this is a very, very good sounding headphone. And that's, even without the amplification, because this headphone sounds good, even if you don't have the best amplifier and DAC combination. So, if you can audition this headphone, definitely check it out. There's a bunch of like used options for this at Headfi, and I think the used price for this is somewhere between $900 to $1,100, which is fairly cheap. So if you can find a good, cheap relative to like its original price. So if you can get a used version of this that's in exceptional quality, then that's something that I highly recommend if you really want to get this headphone. So that's it for the review of the Focal Clear headphone. Do you own this headphone, or are you planning to buy this as your endgame headphone? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thumbs up the video if you like it, subscribe for more headphone.ph video reviews, and visit headphone.ph for the text version of this review. I'll see you guys soon.